Hey, so, as you can tell, it's been like a minute, been a hot minute. I think it's been like 3 weeks since my last video. But long story short, I'm trying to get back into like making videos for this series. We're on episode this week because today is Wednesday. So this week we will be on episode 10 of the Summer Hikaru Dies. We got like 2 episodes left after this. But anyways, I'm gonna be talking about episodes 7 through 9 in this video. So let's get started. So for episode 7, there's like two major things that happen in this episode. First of all, we finally get to see the performance for the Hikaru and Yoshiki's class when it comes to like the song we've been hearing about for like I'm pretty sure the last 6 episodes, so like half the series now at this point. And we get a little bit more about Yoshiki and his dad. Jesus, I still don't remember his dad's name. But one thing that I don't know if I talked about this a lot in my other videos, but like one thing I love about the Summer Hikaru Died is that the way it builds up tension for me, right? Because I guess the Summer Hikaru Died isn't, it depends on who you're talking to, but like people's idea of scary might be like jump scares or have a stuff like that. Like I love the way this series like builds up tension so that when we do have those moments like the neck demon and not demon spirit in the as a forest, or like the first scene of like episode 1 of the show, they hit more because there's a lot of slow tension before we get to scenes like that. But one thing that, in talking about tension, I did feel like something was like off about the episode, because I'm like, he's reminiscing about his family, including his dad, and he didn't really talk about his dad like that. But like we had like those few scenes in the first couple, I would say the first 3 episodes or so, where we saw Yoshiki's mom and dad is arguing about stuff like that, but we didn't get much else from that except for like that one flashback when Yoshiki and Hikaru were like younger, and it was just like their dads and stuff, and they were just doing something together, right? So there was that. Also in this episode, I think it's just like her hearing when it pertains to like the spirits, but Asuko, like, she can't hear in her ear, and it doesn't seem like to be like in a way that like she can't hear, period, or it could be both. I'm not exactly sure, because Yuki like said like, oh, Asuko, hey, and she didn't react. So I think maybe she does have like her hearing, both in the sense of like physically like her hearing is messed up, and then in the sense like she probably can't hear spirits as well as she did before. So that was like one thing that like kind of happened after the whole her passing out when she was talking to Hikaru, because when they had that little conversation, right? And then something, and I be feeling stupid sometimes because it never occurred to me that like Yoshiki was going to like kill Hikaru. I don't know. It didn't occur to me. Like, I don't know. You would think like, I don't know, man. The scene was kind of foreboding. It kind of made it clear. I guess I'm like kind of slow on the uptake when it comes to things, because I didn't think he was going to kill him until like he started reaching to his back. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I see. Which, like, in the long run didn't really do much, because like Hikaru still bleeds, but like he can't, or at least like stabbing him, especially in the vital organ. I'm pretty sure he got stabbed in the heart. Or no, I think he stabbed him in his side. One or two. Like he bled, but like he could but he still bleeds essentially. And something else I do still love about the show is that like how Hikaru, despite the fact that like he doesn't quite understand why human life, like being alive or being dead, matters so much to human beings, he is still willing to try, even though it was really only for like because of Yoshiki. Like he's still willing to do the work to kind of understand why life matters so much to human beings, because he's like pretty durable. Like there's probably a few things on this planet that could kill him, but humans, our lives can be like snuffed out like a light. So it's just like really cool to see. I just love seeing Hikaru, I guess, become more human as the time goes on in this show. Also, another big thing that happened in this episode, so after Yoshiki, and I guess one of the ways he kind of like compromises about like how he views human life is that he kind of gave Yoshiki this, I don't really know what to call it. It's like something that came from like his rib cage. Like once I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think it's like a metal piece of something, but he like pulled it from his rib cage and then gave it to Yoshiki. He said like, okay, I'll give you half of my insides, I guess, and this way it'll be like harder for me to kill someone, so I guess like in his own way that was to compromise, I guess, or at least to show that he understands the value of human life, which I think is like sweet in its own twisted way. But also the way the ending of this episode happened, like the blood everywhere and like the potential of like Yoshiki becoming like mentally broken or unstable from this, and then maybe that company that Takana, sorry, I'm just something his name, experimenting on Hikaru, and it just feels like nothing is like gonna end well for like anybody involved in this village, and it's not just gonna be like Hikaru and Yoshiki that might, I don't know, it's just like not gonna like end well for like a lot of people essentially. Okay, so now we're on episode 8, and okay, basically something we kind of see for both the original Hikaru and this current version of Hikaru is like their memories are starting to blur together. It seems like whatever possessed Hikaru can't really seem to remember if it's the Nonuki-sama or not. And it makes sense because we keep getting like these little moments in the series where like the current version of Hikaru talks about his feelings, and he did mention before, I can't remember which episode it was specifically, but he mentioned before that his feelings are like they're starting to muddle together essentially, right? So I am kind of interested into seeing like, was there like some, I guess, fighting mentally or at least emotions wise between the two, or is it something that kind of like gradually happened, stuff of that nature. And we get to meet Hikaru's grandfather. Now like he's in and out. It just feels like he has moments where like you can tell like he's there still and he can retain information, stuff like that, but he kind of like just dozes off sometimes. I don't know, but like he was kind of telling them about the Unuki-sama. Jesus, these names are just so similar, bro. Like, what the hell? Basically, he kind of tells like what initially happened was like Nonuki-sama was like actually good spirit, but like something happened with the village, and essentially they got cursed, right? And he was saying like the village was like asking for too much, and he also brings up the fact that like there's been like a history of murders happening here. And like we don't really know why that is, at least at the point of this episode, because we're on episode 8, and it's like and earlier when it comes to like some of the village elders, they talk about the rituals, and it's like, do they do these rituals to appease Nonuki-sama and Unuki-sama on the mountain, or show atonement for like what they did? Yeah, but like, do they do it because they're trying to show atonement for what they did, or something of that nature? Like, just a few questions that I just have, at least at this moment, when it comes to like these deities. Okay, now when we talk about episode 7, I mentioned how like Asako said like she can't hear out of her ear, I guess in both sense anymore. And I think, and basically it seems that like if Hikaru mixes with you, or like I think mixes with you, or just does something to your body, like makes that space goo shit, whatever the hell that is, come out, it seems like it could fuck them up in any kind of way, and like very easily, because like Hikaru mentioned a few episodes ago, you have to have like a really strong mind to prevent a bunch of things happening when you're interacting with spirits. And it seems like the spirits are the spirits are like, and we started seeing like spirits like possessing and like influencing more and more people in the village, and becomes more violent. Because I'm pretty sure this is the episode, because I forgot to write in my notes, but I'm pretty sure this is the episode where it was like this guy standing outside the window of the classroom, and like Yoshiki could see him, but he thinks he's tripping. He's like, okay, it's another spirit, because from the distance we were at and like how he was drawn, it was giving like, okay, that I feel like that's like a benevolent spirit or something shit like that. But one of the girls in class also sees him, and he's like, oh, okay, so I'm not tripping. That is someone out there. And it's becoming like way and way more apparent that like more and more like spirits are coming out, and that the barrier between the life and death is like weakening or like going away. So it seems like it's going to start affecting Yoshiki's ability to like differentiate between like what is a spirit or an impurity, or like what is a person who might have been possessed. It might become like harder as time goes on. Also, we got like a very interesting lore drop when it comes to the village and its name, and like the way it was from it originated from, because basically they had found like this really old map of the village, and when they put it together, they saw it was like it kind of like not printed, it kind of laid out to like be like a body, essentially like a head, two arms, a leg, I think a torso too, and stuff like that. And the original name for the Kiba Itachi village, I forgot what they said, but it was like neck. Essentially, like the village was the neck. And I do really love when like series does like some like really good lore building. I'm not sure if like this is based off a real village, or like the mangaka took some experience, some influence from like real life villages. But I do kind of love that kind of lore world building when it comes to like the village and stuff like that, because like that does happen sometimes. Like a one place name was probably this before, and there was a reason it was named this, but then it changed for a reason, and like the original Kiba Itachi village, it was like a lot of neck stuff, because it's like it was the neck when it came to like the body of all these other villages, right? Because you had the neck spirit, you had like the guy stabbing himself in the neck. Like it does make me wonder, is like, why is this so much like neck symbolism going on? Okay, and now in this episode we also find out that like Nonoki-sama isn't the village, or at the very least this current village as we know its deity, but it wasn't their original deity, but they still did like sacrifices to be blessed by it. But when I mentioned before how the Hikaru's grandpa said they ended up getting cursed, essentially what had happened was they kind of like turned on Nonoki-sama and kind of associated it to be like a cursed deity because a famine happened. And I guess like maybe the villagers thought that Nonoki had a hand in it, but it's weird because they still do the rituals, and I think they said they've been doing the rituals since like the Meiji period, or like maybe even a bit further back than that. So it does kind of like take a minute to like, that was kind of just like, okay, so if y'all think this deity, who originally isn't even like your deity or something like that, or maybe it's not a deity that originated from where you guys are currently, if you think they're the reason that you're cursed because of that famine that happened, like why are you still doing the rituals to like appease or maybe atone for it? Like what's up with that? Also, what is still up with those murders? Who did they kill? Like what's going on? And something else I do affect is that, okay, so when they went to the library, I forgot to mention that, but they went to the library to find that map of like the older map of like the village or whatever, right? They come across Matsura's daughter, her eldest daughter. She works as like a librarian in this library. It's not in Kiba Itachi the village. I think it's somewhere else, but like I can't exactly remember where. But like we kind of see Hikaru kind of get a slow but gradual understanding of like how death, basically getting an idea of like what Yoshiki means when he says like death is to have a better understanding of death, like how like when somebody dies, it just doesn't affect the person who dies, it affects the people around them, like when it comes to that old lady Matsura, like she had kids, she could have had grandkids, she could have had other people who cared for her, despite the fact that it seems like, I don't know, maybe she had like her mental health was starting to spiral in her like last years of life. Like he still has the moment where he kind of like caves, I guess you could say, but like it's a work in progress. And it's just the way Hikaru just like not Hikaru, the way Yoshiki like is kind of trying to like shoulder the blame of like the murders that Hikaru has committed, it's just gonna make things so much more difficult for him in the long run, because it's just, this poor kid, he just cannot catch a break. Like he literally cannot catch a break. So long story short, they leave the library, they go to like this random restaurant, and this spirit like appears next to, like, it was kind of like not far, but it was still within like a pretty like distance from them in the restaurant. And Yoshiki notices it first, and we're kind of assuming that like, oh, Hikaru got this, like he's fought spirits stronger than this. But then like his nose starts to bleed, and he's like, he can't do it, like he can. And Yoshiki is kind of like freaking the fuck out, because he's like, hello, because like how like the spirits do, like the world got dark red and like people disappeared, and he just grabbed Hikaru's hand and like ran off. Mind you, like they're not in like a completely different world, like they just disappeared, and then there is just like, it's like an illusion, like a very heavy illusion that like could affect them essentially, right? And it's just like, I had like a couple theories, right? So I was thinking like maybe the reason he can't fight against it was because like in the previous episodes he had gave Yoshiki, I guess, a piece of her sternum, his insides, whatever the hell they want to call it. So I'm thinking like, while at the same time, yes, he won't be able to kill people as easily, I also feel like maybe that was also a downside, because now he can't get rid of whatever you want to do when it comes to these spirits as easily either. So it feels like maybe that was probably a mistake in the long run, like noble act, but still a mistake. But then I also was thinking, because Miss Ray, oh my god, I'm trying to, her name, this is so hard. I struggle with like some very traditionally Japanese sound names, like god, they're so hard. But anyways, when she was mentioning how you just don't get too mixed up with him because that could cause problems, and I'm thinking like, could that also be it? Because they've done it twice now at this point, and it's like is Hikaru becoming more human then, or something like that? Like, are they just kind of taking on each other's qualities because of that when it comes to them mixing or whatever? But yeah, so shit was getting real dire. Like, I think Hikaru's eyes started to bleed, and Yoshiki's like freaking the fuck out, and then shit was getting dicey. But thankfully Auntie Ray came and saved the day. She's like, hey, you good? And we kind of just like pull back, and we see that they are still in the restaurant, and people are looking around saying like, oh my god, what happened? Why is that kid bleeding? What's going on? So she kind of like got them out of whatever the hell was going on, and that's where like we cut the episode. Okay, so now we're on to the last episode, at least the most recent episode, and this is episode 9, and we open being at Ray's house. Rie's house. And we're just kind of sitting down talking, and she says like, oh yeah, I kind of sent that spirit off somewhere. I don't think she got rid of it because of what happens later on in the episode, but like, she's like, I'm not as strong though, so I can't do it as often. And then this is like where it kind of occurred to me that like he like sends them back to like the other side or whatever. Like, I don't know what the hell I thought he was doing when they came to like getting rid of those like the hair demon, the neck, not demon, spirit, the neck one, stuff like that. I think I just assumed they would cease to exist, but like them being sent off to some other plane of existence, that probably makes more sense in the long run. But like, that just like be just making assumptions. And then we also find out like she can do this occasionally, so it does make me wonder like how come the agency hasn't like come across her yet at this point in time. Like, it's because like she's not a super powerful person. Like, if she did give off energy, she doesn't give off a lot, so they kind of just like don't bother with her, or like maybe they do know about her, but like she isn't causing much harm, and she's not like bringing a bunch of these spirits down from the mountains or just in general. So they're kind of like, she's not really worth it, or because they're kind of focused on Hikaru and they have been waiting for something like this for 100 years, or just like whatever. But so also we get more about Rie's backstory, because what episode was that? This was a few episodes ago. It could have been now, I'm not sure. But when we had first met Rie and she was talking to Yoshiki, she had mentioned that she kind of the thing that happened to Hikaru also happened to her husband. So I think these people, but most people probably assume like, oh, like he got possessed by something and then he just left or disappeared, because she had mentioned that he had died and then he came back. And I think I was under the impression that like she didn't know at first what was going on. Like, baby, she didn't know he had died and then he had come back, but she like over time she kind of noticed like something was off about him. But it seems like she knew that he had died and that he came back as something, and at first everything was fine, like everything was cool. Like the son in these, the daughter was really little. I think she was getting held as a baby by Rie, so I think she was probably like less than 1. But like everything seemed cool, oddly enough, which is weird. But like, when she was telling her backstory, she had mentioned like that her husband hurt her son in a way that he will never recover from. And we see about the incident that occurred, and basically the husband had like scratched him, hit him, he drew blood essentially, and she's like saying like, oh, this is my fault, I'll fix it, it's okay, I'll fix it, it's fine. And we get a shot of like the husband, or like whatever is possessing the husband's body, and he's like crying as he's hearing both of them like cry and stuff like that, right? So it feels like maybe the ability of like whatever is possessing Hikaru, him being able to do that is not unique to him. It feels like maybe it's not as uncommon that like whoever these spirits are possessing, the original person is still able to retain their memories and like kind of take in what's going on in front of them. I think maybe the one is just like Hikaru is like for the most part the best at doing it, I guess you could say. And plus he does have like a more powerful spirit, so that's probably why like he does it pretty much so seamlessly. If people aren't aware of like the supernatural world, or like don't really know him, they probably wouldn't have even known, Okay, and now we kind of cut, and then okay, so after that we like cut to like Tanaka, and he's just standing there, waiting, and we see the spirit from the last episode that was like about to attack Yoshiki and Hikaru. So at first I was thinking like, oh, he's gonna like just get rid of these spirits and just keep it pushing, but I guess the spirit like kind of came towards him and like went through his body, and it caused him pain. I don't know, like I don't, he didn't really describe it, but he was like in pain when the spirit went through his body. And basically he kind of had these quick little visions of like who Yoshiki and Hikaru are, where they were, what they were talking about, what the spirit did, etc., etc. And it's like, first of all, I do like these possession powers he has. I think it's cool. And I also do like I do like when powers, especially powers this strong, have like a blowback or a drawback to it. Like, when he puts up the barriers, it's like he has to give up an organ every time he does it. Or like when he's doing whatever he just did with the spirit, he is in pain when they go through like his body or whatever. Like, I like a cool power that has like a drawback to it. It's like really, really grounded. And then we find out more and more of like why Rie was like so against him, I guess, mixing with Hikaru. And long story short, she's just like, the more you do that with him, the least likely he could return to the world. Like, so he will like leave the cycle of like birth, life, death, rebirth. So he'll leave the cycle. So that's like one of the reasons she's like really, really against him doing that. And once again, we should just have Yoshiki going through like the 5 stages of grief constantly, because he goes back to the old shed that him and Hikaru used to go and hang out at a lot when they were like really, really little. And he has like a grain for him, and like he has this moment where he's like, damn, I can't even really grieve you in public because people don't really know what happened to him, right? And it's just like, man, you just constantly bear the burden of like this all by yourself all the time. And it's just like, man. And the current Hikaru, like, he comes and he's like, they have a little talk and stuff like that. But and it's like, despite how much like Yoshiki misses the original Hikaru, you can tell that he still cares for this Hikaru, and that he does want to help him find somewhere where he won't have to hide like such important parts of themselves, of himself, which I really like, which is like, it's a pretty blatant like allegory for like what it's like to be queer, just not having to like force down such an important part of yourself just to fit in this place. Okay, and then so we see basically I was just thinking to myself, like, this is, I guess, like the first time Komii-sama has ever had to has ever possessed a body, right? So it makes you wonder, like, okay, how come Komii-sama didn't do this before? And it makes me wonder back to like when it comes to them granting wishes to like the villagers in the Meiji period, or maybe even before that. And it's like, so I'm thinking there's probably like 2 reasons why. It's like, 1, people don't come up the mountain like that in the first place, so that's probably why they couldn't do it. 2, maybe you have to be from like a specific bloodline that has a long history of doing this, so there's that. Or 3, when we saw the original Hikaru say like, just keep him safe, and we saw like the goo, whatever the hell that is, like grab his hand and like fuse into him to like what we know as the current version of Hikaru, like maybe you need to make a wish and then they'll be able to possess their body, and then okay, and then it's a lot going on. There's so much going on. Anyways, long story short, Hikaru and Yoshiki, Yoshiki and Hikaru go to visit one of the village heads' father. He's an older man. He's around the same age as like Miss Matsura. And basically he hasn't come out of his room in a long time. The only reason they were even able to get in there is because Kirie, she, I guess, like, she's known around the village. So like the wife of the village head, the current village head, like left them in or whatever, and they come in asking some questions, and he just starts tripping out, saying like, oh, the Endo family, they should have done what they were supposed to be doing and stuff like that. And they're both confused, especially Hikaru, because this isn't the original Hikaru, this is like possessed Hikaru. So he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And basically he just goes on to say like, oh, like basically implying that like they had a hand not only in the famine but the curse, and that what they had asked for was too much of like a price to pay, so like the whole village had to pay for it. And now you're sitting here like, hello, what are we talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, what was it that like the Endo family in particular had asked for that would have caused a famine and apparently a bunch of murders, and then like a curse, and not only that, but like what would they have had asked for that they would need to do rituals for hundreds of years, even up to like the modern day, it seems like. So he gets like possessed by, I think it's like the hair spirit from a few episodes ago, and it possesses the old man, and he's like about to kill Hikaru and Yoshiki, but then Tanaka comes to save the day, and puts that to work. Now you would think like, oh man, thanks Tanaka, like sure, like he's clearly here to hunt down Hikaru, but like I mean he saved them, so like that's something. Unfortunately, he has no chill, and he grabs a sword, just swings it, and cuts off Hikaru's head. Mind you, bro's humming, and like Yoshiki and Hikaru are like not really registering like what the hell just happened. And you just see Yoshiki just like grab Hikaru's head, and like he's just breathing really really hard. Mind you, Tanaka is still like just humming in the back, and it's just like you remember when I said like Yoshiki could like never catch a break? He can just not catch a break. I feel like there's not one episode in this entire series thus far where like he had a moment of peace. Like none at all. And it's just like, why are you doing this to this poor boy? Like, oh my god. Well, this video went on a lot longer than I wanted it to. It's like 31 minutes and going. But I can't lie, I do love a good series that like just gives me the ability to just ramble on and on and on about a show that I really really like. So I guess I'll just try to be better, if like maybe go back to doing like a video a week, so that it won't be like this when it comes to like making these long ass videos, because I did not think it's gonna be half an hour long. Anyways, thanks for listening.